Imagine waking up 300 years from now, and your face in the mirror hasn't aged a single day. Cities have risen, languages have bent and blended, oceans have new coastlines, and you're still here, heartbeat steady, eyes bright. What would life look like if humans were truly immortal? For this journey, let's set ground rules. We're talking biological immortality. No aging, no disease from old age, but not invincibility. Accidents, extreme events, and choices still matter. With that lens on, let's explore the surprising advantages, the hidden costs, and the strange new rhythms of a life without an end. First, the psychology of a world without a finish line. Right now, death shapes our timelines. It nudges us to start the novel, confess the love, book the trip. Remove the endpoint and urgency dissolves like sugar in tea. Procrastination could become a lifestyle. Why do it now if you can do it in a century? Yet, flip the coin and you find courage. Fear of wasting your one life fades, and risk-taking can become wiser, not wilder. You'd try new careers, learn difficult skills, start over again and again because failure stops being fatal to your identity. The real mental skill of immortality wouldn't be bravery. It would be time management for a mind that could drift forever. Calendars might stretch into color-coded centuries. What about your body and brain? If cells don't degrade and telomeres don't fray, you remain physically capable for as long as you care to train. But the brain's bottleneck is memory. Even with plasticity intact, you can't carry everything that happens across millennia without losing clarity. Forgetting becomes a feature, not a flaw. You'd curate memory the way artists curate a gallery, pruning, compressing, annotating. Maybe we'd keep memory gardens, external archives where you can re-immerse yourself in a century you no longer actively recall. Trauma complicates this. Pain that never dulls could harden into eternal despair, so we might develop rituals of psychic shedding, therapies, meditative long walks, annual month-long retreats where you let go of the weight you no longer need. Immortality would demand emotional hygiene as rigorously as dental hygiene. Love under immortality changes its vows. Till death do us part becomes what exactly? Maybe the promise shifts to for as long as this love grows. Partnerships could bloom in seasons, decades together, decades apart, reconvening when you're no longer the same people you once were. Jealousy might loosen its grip as abundance replaces scarcity. There is time to love fully and still explore. Parenting slows down too. When 1,000 years lie ahead, you can afford patience. Education could be immersive, playful, deep. Imagine teaching a child astronomy by spending 2 years night camping under different skies. Grief changes if everyone is immortal, but not invulnerable. Loss becomes rarer and more shocking, a sudden tear in a long fabric, and communities might develop epic ceremonies to honor centuries-spanning lives unexpectedly cut short. Now, the population puzzle. If births continue while deaths from aging stop, Earth fills fast. Some societies might choose birth licensing, or rotating parenthood quotas, or technological habitats, ocean cities, megastructures that expand capacity. Others might lean on emigration to space, not as a dream, but as demographic necessity. Urban design would stretch vertically and inward, layered gardens, quiet micro-apartments, transit that hums instead of roars. Food systems become closed loops, precision fermentation, vertical farms, algae bioreactors that taste better than they sound. The goal wouldn't just be survival, it would be livability, for a planet that must feel spacious even when it's full. Immortality would force us to treat Earth like a loved home, not a hotel room. Careers and money. Oh, this gets interesting. Imagine career arcs that look like constellations, not ladders. Carpenter to marine biologist to philosopher to composer to space sail technician. Entry level wouldn't be an age, it would be a moment. Retirement? Redefined as rhythm, not endpoint. People might work 2 centuries, wander the world for 30 years, then invent a new craft for another 100. But compounding wealth becomes a dragon. Left alone, fortunes could grow monstrous across centuries. We'd likely reinvent finance. Scheduled philanthropic dissolves, wealth half-lives, mandatory sabbaticals from ownership. Education becomes a lifelong loop of depth and reinvention. University for the 6th time at age 780 because why not master mathematics now? The true currency becomes versatility. How quickly you can become a beginner again. Culture and creativity would stretch like gold leaf across time. Today, art wrestles with mortality. Tomorrow, it could wrestle with eternity. We'd see projects sized for centuries, symphonies written one movement per generation, libraries whose shelves are designed to shift as languages drift, cathedrals of living coral patiently guided into shapes by bioarchitects. Knowledge loss, the tragic forgetting that follows every dark age, would shrink. The mentors who built the first quantum sails could teach the crews building the 10th. Yet there's a risk. Long-lived taste can calcify. We might need cultural rewilding, deliberate experiments that break consensus, festivals where you must make something in a medium you despise, or decade-long bans on your favorite style to keep the stream turbulent and alive. Power and politics in an immortal world are a double-edged sword. On one side, leaders can plan beyond election cycles. Think floodplains designed for the year 4000. On the other, power holders might never age out. Without strong term limits, renewal clauses, or civic timeouts, societies could fossilize into gerontocracies. Law gets thorny, too. What does a life sentence mean? A century? 5? Justice might pivot from duration to transformation. Parole tied to measurable repair, not clocks. Treaties would stretch across eras. Imagine coastal nations agreeing on 1,000-year mangrove corridors. Property rights might need sunsets, land and patents that revert unless you actively steward them. And historical wounds, they stay vivid when victims and witnesses never leave. Reconciliation would require storytelling infrastructures, multi-century truth forums, sturdy enough to hold the long ache and still move forward. The environment, and then the stars. Immortality unlocks patience. Climate restoration ceases to be a deadline, it becomes a craft. We could garden rivers back into their meanders, shepherd forests through 10 fire cycles, unpoison soils, reweave coral nurseries year after year until the reefs glow again. With centuries to plan, geoengineering experiments would be cautious and transparent, not desperate gambles. And space? Suddenly, too far becomes give it time. You might save up for a 400-year voyage the way we save for college. Light sails to nearby stars, O'Neill cylinders circling Earth, lunar cities with greenhouses that smell like basil after rain. These stop being metaphors and become addresses. The cosmos opens not to heroes, but to patient neighbors. Now comes the paradox at the core: meaning. Finite lives force choices. Infinite lives can smudge them. In an immortal world, boredom isn't trivial. It's an existential hazard. Days can blur into an endless Tuesday unless we architect novelty. The antidote is mastery with seasons. Pick a mountain, climb it for 50 years, then descend and walk the valley as someone new. Practice creative mortality. Let identities end so the person can go on. You could keep a portfolio of selves, retired and active, honoring who you've been while making room for who you're becoming. And perhaps the final safeguard is agency, the option, however solemn, to end your own story when the final chapter genuinely arrives. Choice, not compulsion, keeps eternity humane. So, should we want immortality? The honest answer is only if we're willing to grow up with it. The upside is vast: time to heal, to learn, to love more deeply than a lifespan allows, to steward Earth and step carefully into the sky. The downside is real: Stagnation, hoarded power, swollen fortunes, the heavy luggage of memory. The future where immortality works is the one where we design institutions for long lives, time-limited power, renewing culture, shared wealth, careful births, and rituals that help us forget just enough to feel new again. Maybe immortality wouldn't make life less precious. Maybe it would force us to practice preciousness every day on purpose. If this journey through forever sparked ideas, I'd love to hear your take. What would you do with your first extra century? If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It really helps more curious minds find us. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.